I'm going to read a verse in the scripture, and these verses will teach you the importance of value, like righteous value, and why is it so important. And really what this particular scripture teaches us is that we sometimes tend to value the wrong things, and what we should be valuing or what we think is mostly important turns out actually not to be the number one thing that we need to focus on. What am I talking about? Well, let me show you this. So Matthew 5, starting at verse 29, it says, "If your eye causes you to lust, gouge it out and throw it away, even your good eye. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell." Well, that's a good point. But he goes even further to reiterate this example. Verse 30 says, "And if your hand, even your strong hand, causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell." God is very strategic the way that he speaks in these parables. So he uses the word strong hand as an emphasis on value, okay? Because most people value things that they see, that they consider reliable, dependable. So this is why he uses the term strong hand. So if you had no choice, and let's say, for example, you get an infection or something and you had to get your hands amputated, you would prefer that the hand to be amputated, your less dominant hand, the hand that you don't really use that often, okay? So this is why Jesus is saying your strong hand, because he's putting an emphasis on the things that you feel yourself is valuable. He's expressing that what you consider to be valuable is not as valuable than when it comes to your soul, than when it comes to your salvation. So what this scripture is actually teaching us is, in order for us to know these things, we can't just look at ourselves. We can't just look at the superficial things, the obvious things, like your strong hand or your good eye or your job or your kids. Like, all these things are important. The scripture expresses that this is important because he said your good hand or your good eye. But just because something is important doesn't mean it outweighs the benefit of having your life saved. This is why he said, cut out your good hand or your good eye, because it will never be sufficient enough to the whole body being thrown into hell if you do not put your emphasis on the proper things to call important. The scripture teaches us that we need to realize that our soul, our spirit, our relationship with God, our connection to Christ, and most importantly, our salvation is the most valuable thing in this world. So while you're so focused on XYZ, ask yourself an important question. Is any of this worth my salvation? Ask yourself, is this more valuable? What am I considering to be my strong hand or my good eye that might look important to me, that I'm willing to throw it out and sacrifice my soul or my salvation? So I know this topic is pretty heavy, and I really want you guys to understand that I'm speaking of a spiritual cutting out or spiritual throwing out of these things, and not the actual cutting of yourself. I don't want anyone to be going off on the deep end saying, oh, now I gotta gouge my eye out or cut my arm off. That is not what the Lord is saying here in this scripture. So please don't get things twisted, okay? Overall, what I'm expressing to you guys is, sometimes we need to ask the Lord what he considers to be valuable, and the things that the Lord considers to be valuable, we need to then make those things valuable to us. Because chances are that what you are holding tightly to is not what you need to focus on. Chances are that the very thing that you seem to put above God or idolize this, those things are what's going to cause you to stumble, is pretty much what the scripture is saying. So your good eye or your strong hand that you feel is so valuable to you, ask yourself, is these things allowing me to stumble? And if it is, then maybe you do need to put those things to the side, as the scripture says, to cut it off and focus on the righteous things that's going to lead you to God, that's going to lead you to heaven. Because at the end of the day, what is more important is your soul, is your walk, and it's your salvation, people. Come on now. Hopefully this video is helpful to some of you guys to get you back on track about the things that's more important in this world. Like I always say, be blessed and stay encouraged, you guys. Bye.